Alrighty, welcome everybody. I am so glad to be able to have you guys here today. Just really happy to be in this position, to be able to finally take this online, finally take what I've been working on the last 8+ years and really give this to more people than just folks in my area and more kids who I just see on my teams and who I work with. You know, this has been something for me that it hasn't really been easy for me to go and put all of this online, but I'm really happy that I can do it today because I know this is what is best for the community as a whole, because I see so many different kids who come in 13, 14, and they've never had any coaching. I'm coaching a 14U select team this year, and what's incredible about it is that, I took some kids this year, very raw players, and they'd never had coaching before. They'd never had real coaching before. And for a 13-year-old player to never have any real coaching, and he has played 5 years, that blows my mind. That really blows my mind. And it opened my mind up to really what was going on. And the truth is, there are a lot of kids who are distracted, and there are a lot of kids who are not concentrating on the game because, well, let's be real. There's a lot more going on. There's a lot more for them to do. And, coaches are falling short in teaching, and then they're also falling short in motivating. So you can see here, this is really the first of its kind that's been put out. It's either you have coaching, or you have, rah-rah, or you have, hey, let's, give you guys some stickers and like, hey, these are your achievements. There hasn't really been anything for the modern player to keep them concentrated on what really matters. And you'll hear this a few times throughout this presentation, but distraction is one of the biggest issues that players face. And not only distraction, but coaches who really don't have the knowledge. So we're really going to break a few, conventional thinking, conventional thinking ways here. And we're going to really break through those. We're going to shred those. And you're going to see how this is the first of its kind. So we're going to make the game more fun by winning mentally, physically, on and off the field for both of those. So the vast 90% of coaches are not doing this right. And we have lived through this. I have lived through this. Most of, you have probably lived through this. Your son might be living through it right now. And it's a big problem. It is a huge problem. When 90% of coaches are not only not training kids properly, but they're not motivating kids, we are in a huge area that is uncharted. Because we have never been in a time where players so young have technology, have distractions like they do today, have so many other things to do. Everybody is competing for their attention. It may not seem like it, but it is. So, like I said, there's been nothing to encourage these ball players to put in the work. And there hasn't really been anything to make them just want it more and to be hungry to do it. Video games have really found the trick, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit later as well. But baseball players right now that I know, for the most part, they are not encouraged. There are not a lot of guys who want to put in the work because they don't set goals, and B, they don't really know how to plan. So even if they did have the talent, even if they did have the natural skill, it's just not being put together. And right now you can see the makeup in the MLB is changing dramatically. There are fewer and fewer American players every year. And it's not because the coaches are not as good or, our guys don't play as much. It's all about concentration. What do international players focus on? Where is their concentration? These guys are concentrated. They don't have these distractions. They know what they need to do, and they do it. Whereas kids in the United States have much more distractions and have a lot more different things that they can do. Now, I'm not saying you have to be all baseball all the time. However, there is a right way to go about this and a wrong way to go about this. And this is not only for on the field baseball players. Sure, this is going to be some of the greatest coaching your son will ever receive. But what really counts is the mental side. And the mental side is the most important side. So, like I mentioned, what did video games teach us? Like, what has the video game done to, we see younger kids, to even some adults? What has it done? And the answer is simple. It's addicting. It's made something that is addicting that the masses like doing because it is addicting. There's achievements, there's rewards. When I was younger, I always wanted to get to the next level. I always wanted to level my guy up. I always wanted to get to the next part and the next part. And it never ends because there's more achievements, there's more rewards that you can get. But what it is, it's just all a loop. It's all a loop. And they've gamified these digital, it's tough to, I would call it like a digital version of life, but it's not necessarily that. However, they have gamified it. They have found a way to make regular things and things that, maybe Nintendo did 25 years ago, they've taken it up a notch. And they understand psychology, and that's the biggest problem. Short feedback, quick hitting wins is what they get. And that is why they keep going back. That is why they want to keep playing. That is why kids are so addicted and so they want to be on this all the time because, bottom line, it is addicting and it's dangerous. Now, if kids understand that, they can combat it. But most kids don't understand that. Most people don't understand that we could do the exact same thing with a real sport, but they have to have the platform to do it. So look, instead of me only giving the tools, instead of me only giving skills, which is what most coaches will do, they'll say, hey, this is what you want to do on the field. This is, in the mental game, you got to think, you got to think like this. And that's not it. That is unfortunately not it. There has to be more to the equation. There is a way where we can get players to work harder, where they can buy in, where they want to do it. And look, this, honestly, for me, it would have been really easy for me to just attack the actual coaching and just, throw, they're doing so bad, this is terrible, which, there's a lot of things that are really bad right now. But unfortunately, that is really the minor piece in the grand scheme of things. We're not wiring our young players the right way. And for this, we have to take a play out of the video game handbook. We must gamify the experience for baseball players to be incentivized to work harder. That is the way we will see the absolute best results. Now, there's nothing like that right now. There's nothing at all like that right now, and that is 100% true. However, this is changing that. This is a new type of approach that I have implemented that works, that needs to be implemented for the whole country. Baseball players as a whole. It is not enough to simply be in one area. The internet has made it possible, and my background as a marketer in digital marketing has really given me the idea of, okay, this is what I need to be able to do to give the absolute best experience for all of the people who have kids that are baseball players. This is it. This is exciting. I mean, this is honestly so exciting. I couldn't imagine, goodness sakes, when I was 13, 14, man, there was nothing like this. My coaches were all super lame. I kept on getting, really older guys who didn't know how to connect with me. They didn't know what I liked. They didn't know how to talk to me. And for that reason, I didn't put in the work. I didn't know what goals were. I didn't work towards goals. That's not what I did because I wasn't taught about it. Nobody taught me that. And we think, well, it's got to be on the parents, but no, it's not. It can't be on the parents because the kids don't want to hear the parents. It's tricky. It really is. But this is different. And look, this is not going to be super long, to be honest. I mean, this is not about me. This is about the future of young baseball players who will one day be men. And these lessons that they learn on the field and off the field are the critical lessons that they must A, recognize, and B, take into their life after baseball or into their professional career if they're so blessed. These lessons, if they're so lucky to be blessed enough to play in the professional league, that is awesome. That's great. However, these are also things that they can take into their regular lives as well. That is the power of sport. That is why sports are so important. Yes, it's about winning. Yes, it's about being part of the team. But it's also about setting goals. It's also about putting in the work to get better and to see that development. This is not a short term like, I work out one day and boom, I'm good. It's not like video games. But we have to make it as close to that so we can keep them coming back and wanting to do more, wanting to continue to develop. So many kids are bought in. Kids that I work with are bought in. Why? Because there is a way to reach them. There is 100% a way to reach them. And if you don't know how to reach them, they won't buy in. And if they don't buy in, guess what? They're not going to be working hard at it at all. And you can guarantee it is not only going to be just this sport, it might be in other sports and it might be in other aspects of their life. And that is what we must avoid. So what's the big problem? Like you say, well, the modern coaching isn't any good, baseball coaches can't relate to their kids. Well, yeah, that's a big deal. Coaches, for the most part, are unable to connect with kids. That is a huge issue, a massive issue. Baseball players are not receiving the proper instruction when it comes to hitting. That's also very true. There is a generation that, for the most part, you might not have played, but then there is a generation that has played 30 years ago, and they are so insistent on that, what they were doing was so right, and this new game of home runs and, all this stuff is just so bad for the game. It evolves with time. Things evolve with time. The game is evolving. The game is played at a higher level than it has ever played before. Imagine Garrett Cole 40 years ago. I mean, seriously, imagine, let's say, even like we can take just some regular guy. Let's take an average player. Let's take not top of the line, not top. We'll say Manny Machado. Take Manny Machado, put him in the league 40 years ago. That guy's, he puts up insane numbers. Insane numbers. Hitters nowadays have to do way more than they've ever done. Thus, they have to advance. And guess what? Data is entering the game. When data enters the game and tells us this is better than this, we must react the right way. Just like in business. When the data tells us that, hey, you guys need to be putting more emphasis into this part of your business versus this part, guess what you're going to do? You're going to listen to the data. And just like that, this is it. So players are not taught to understand the lessons the game is teaching them. And I touched on this a little bit before, but players right now are just taught, okay, we got to go out and win. We got to win, 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 win. And yes, winning is important. Don't get me wrong. Understanding how to lose is even more important. And understanding the lessons that the game teaches you, the bonds that they will create. This is the most important part. But, right now we have a bunch of folks who, maybe I didn't win a Little League World Series, or maybe I didn't win my Little League when I was a kid, so guess what? My kid's got to win it. He's got to win it because I didn't. And so they don't understand. The game teaches so much. There are so many lessons the game teaches. And unfortunately, they're just brushed over. As players are also not incentivized to put in more work. It usually just boils down to some parent nagging. Like, oh, come on, let's go, let's do this. Or, hey, do this, hey, do that. No, that doesn't work. Because again, they don't understand why they're putting in the work. I mean, we understand. It makes sense to us. It's clear as day. But they don't. And guess what? When you try to explain it as a parent, it doesn't work. Kids don't want to hear it from you. They want to hear it from somebody else. They want to hear it from somebody who understands them, who understands what they're going through, who understands what life is like. I was just there 10 years ago. I'm not old. I'm 25. Feels like I'm getting old, but I'm 25. I was just in their shoes 10, 12 years ago. I was able to see pre-social media, post-social media. That was happening as I was going from 14 to 19. And it was an incredible shift. And now I'm seeing 12-year-olds, all these kids, they have phones. They have information at their fingertips. However, again, distraction. And when it comes down to parents, they can't be the ones that do it. So there is also no community of ball players that has been really put together in a very cool way for kids. And this is, again, a huge, huge downside, because a community of folks who are interested in the same thing is always going to be good for people to be able to reach their highest levels and to be able to forge more friendships, forge more, groups of people who are like-minded, who like doing something and want to work at it more. I mean, we know, how many Facebook groups are you a part of? I mean, what are you doing anything in person? Do you go to like some sort of group in person that you like just getting together with people? There's nothing like that for kids. Sure, they got Snapchat, they got Instagram, they got Facebook, they got all this stuff, but there's no community of ball players. And if there is, it hasn't been put together in a cool way for kids. Because guess what? It needs to be cool. Unfortunately, as lame as that sounds to parents, it needs to be cool. If it is not cool, kids will not want to do it. If it is cool, open the gates. The flood will enter. I mean, that's real talk. That's as real as it gets. We talked about this before. Kids, coaches just aren't able to connect with kids. And I say that twice because it is so important. I hope all parents understand it is one of the most important parts of growing and really going through years as, Little League, select ball. Coaches just have a tough time connecting with kids. And it's too bad. It really is too bad, because there's a lot of talented players who will give up, or who will not put in the work necessary just because they have not had a great experience. The next part is players. Nowadays, players do not handle adversity very well. Adversity is something that we don't teach. Losing is not something we teach anymore. Everybody gets a trophy. Everybody did great. Your team finished last. Okay, well, you guys had a great season. You did so well. That's not teaching anything. Losing is one of the best motivators and one of the best teachers that you can possibly have in business and in the game. Take it from me. I started my own business. I failed. I failed so much before I actually did well. In the game, I failed before I did well. I didn't handle it well when I was younger because nobody taught me how. I always got frustrated and I thought, the world's ending, but it didn't. I'm still here. And then in business, finally I realized that, losing is a great teacher. Losing is awesome. It just adds fuel to the fire. Now, instead of, kids being, oh, geez, that's no good, to, okay, guess what? I'm going to do it now. I'm going to get hungrier than I was before because I want it more than ever. Imagine what that looks like. Imagine how powerful that is. So I finished this right here with, really the only thing that is gamified for kids is video games and mini games, iPhone games, Android games. Baseball and sports in general has lagged behind. But finally, there's something here for baseball. And please, somebody out there, make this for basketball and football and hockey and all the other sports. Because more American athletes, young kids, deserve to know about this and deserve to know about the hacks that they can make just on a day-to-day basis to be able to get to the highest level that they can achieve and know that they gave it everything they had. See, I don't want kids to look back one day and say, I wish I would have did more. I wish I would have done this. I wish I would have done this. And that's exactly, really, that is pretty much how I feel. I left so much on the table that it is a conversation that we have all the time with my team. Don't leave anything on the table. Know that you gave it your all when you did it. And it's so sad because there's so much that I left on the table. But you know what? I'm okay with that. I came to grips with it. I'm not living in the past. However, I am here because I want, and you should too, you want your kid to avoid that feeling. To avoid one day, you know what, I wish I would have tried a little bit harder. I wish I just would have put in a little bit more work. I wish I would have understand what I know now back then. Or I wish somebody would have told me who I listened to. I wish they would have told me that back then. And this is why it's here. This is why it's here for you. So jet fuel and baseball, combining elements of video games, and there really is ability to make the games they create. They're crazy addicting. So we want to take a page out of that playbook. So when you combine strong training with purpose and accountability, you have something that you thought would have been, he just needs to grow up a little. He just got to get a little older to figure it out. That's not true. If these lessons are ingrained early, you avoid many pitfalls down the road, and you get to that optimum level of mental strength and just mental knowledge and just mental know-how that, okay, this is what I have to do and this is what I want to do. Understanding how to do certain things. But not everybody's going to get it. And that's unfortunate. But you are different. You are somebody who is going to see this differently. You are somebody who is going to, instead of just, that's, I don't know about that. No, you are going to do this differently. Because you do not want to leave anything on the table for your child. And if you can stop that, why would you not? If you can stop one day them feeling like they had more to give, why wouldn't you stop it? Why wouldn't you break it right now? It's a simple solution. So really, how's this different? I've been talking now for a little bit about, just some of the pitfalls and just really this industry as a whole. And it is kind of sad, but Coaches have failed to fundamentally identify why kids don't really practice enough, and they often blame outside distractions. They blame social media, they blame video games. In reality, most of us are distracted as well. We just don't know it. We think we are concentrated, but we're really not. How many times a day do we check our phone? How many times a day do we watch that YouTube video? What's the difference? There is no difference. Kids just don't know. They're not taught. Concentration must be taught. But it's not. For athletes, if they do not have concentration, it is really bad. I mean, really bad. And it 100% will not allow you to reach the peak that you want to reach, or your kid wants to reach, or that your kid could reach. He will not reach that peak. Distractions are no good. So, when we have so many different brands and apps and games competing for our attention, different people creating content, trying to help. Everybody's selling something that's a little bit better. Oh, this is a little bit better. Oh, no, that is. A vast majority of the real world is distracted. So how can we blame our kids? How can we blame our kids when most people are distracted in reality? So instead of just teaching elite concepts or, this way is better than that way and, you got to do this. Look, there's a right way and a wrong way. It's backed by data, okay? So we know what works, okay? So like that, let's chop that one off right off the top, okay? However, when you pair this with the mental side and the psychological side, and then you make sure they understand why they're doing it, you create lasting impact, and not only that, you create more people who are prepared for the world. You create better people. You teach lessons that are absolutely critical now so they don't have to learn them when they're 25 or 30. And that's real. That is real as it gets. And I'm not old, okay? I'm 25. Really, I connect with kids. It's what I do, and it's what I've always been able to do, and I've been very successful with it. Ever since I started coaching, kids want to play with me. Kids want to play on my team. Kids want to work for me. I have a roster of 15 this year. We have been practicing in Washington State. Okay, it's not warm. It's very cold. We've been out in rain. We've been out in 30-degree weather at 9:30 a.m. on a Sunday morning, and we have our whole team showing up in the off season. Yeah, we got kids who are playing basketball. Yeah, we got kids who are doing ultimate frisbee. Yeah, we got kids who are playing football. But guess what? They're showing up. It's that next level dedication. It's the why. It's because they want it. And look, I've coached kids that have been born with the golden ticket. They've been born into families that have been very, fortunate to be very wealthy. And then I've coached kids with huge problems in the family. Okay, so I'm not just talking about one type of kid here. Literally, kids talk to me about their parents separating. Kids talk to me about what's happening at school. Kids talk to me about certain things that leave them vulnerable. But they're okay doing that with me because they feel like I'm somebody who they can talk to. I connect with them. And that is so important. Because a lot of kids have problems. Bottom line. A lot of kids do. And that's okay because a lot of other people, like adults, they have problems too. And it's about how we cope with those. It's about how we work through those that defines who we are. So really, instead of me just being coach for a lot of these kids, I'm Greg. A mentor. Someone who can help them. Someone who is just there in their shoes. And someone who can guide them as they're subjected to much more now because of technology. And because of literally we have everything that we ever needed at our fingertips. It's a good thing and a bad thing. And it's only a bad thing if you don't know how to control it. So look, you'll see a different player. If your son puts in this work and he starts to implement some of the stuff here, you will see a different player and you will see a different person. You will see somebody who's driven. You will see a self-starter. And that's what we all want. And we think, well, that kid, he's just like that. That's the way he is. And you know what? That might be true. But then we see a lazy, he's just lazy. He's never wanted to work. He's never wanted to do this or that. And again, that might be true. But what about for those kids that have just bad habits have just kind of gotten into their life and then they've never learned to get out of them? What about that guy? What happens to him? Well, there needs to be something for him. And while every athlete deserves this and they really need it, not every athlete will get it. And it is so sad. But for the people who see this, for you right now who are looking at this training, really think about this. See, just understand how lucky you are to just see this. And I mean, that might sound ridiculous, but really, this is the wake-up call. This is blending training with understanding what's going on in the real world and understanding that training is simply not enough. So, I'm sorry, that is actually XX%, and we want to use this. I'm just kidding. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to dive into it now, and this is the one-line description. Let's dive into it. This will be the greatest adjustment to the coaching landscape for kids that has ever occurred. That is said with absolute certainty. There is absolutely nothing like this. There is nothing like this. There is no coach who has not only the knowledge and backs it with data, but who is able to connect, who is able to motivate, and who is able to teach the why. Because if there is no why, nobody's going to do it. And it's truly an honor that I'm here today. I mean, it is seriously such a blessing for me to be able to be here today, to just deliver this for you. It is such a blessing. There has been, ups and downs in my life. There have been moments where, my life could have been taken. And it really is, it's crazy to think about. It really makes you think that you're just here for a greater purpose. And I get a little emotional when I talk about this story because it's really tough. When I was just about to graduate high school, I was in a terrible wreck. An absolutely terrible wreck. And it nearly took my life. I was so lucky to walk away with no injuries. Car hit me going 45. It hit me on the driver's side. I was obviously driving. They ran a red light, and I was in a Ford Mustang. If anybody knows what car that is, there is not a whole lot of protection on the side. It's not a particularly big car. Other car was a Jeep Grand Cherokee, again going very fast, and it basically took off my whole engine mount. So if you looked at the car, it looked like somebody just basically cut the first 5 feet off of it and it was gone. The car was completely wrecked, and I walked away without a scrape. I walked away feeling fine. And if that was another snap of a finger second later, that car hits me straight on. And I'm not able to be here today. And it is so special that I've been able to not only be here for, people who I've helped in their business with my own business, but the kids who I've worked with throughout the years, the kids who I've made a difference with, and the people who I've been able to connect with, the coaches that I've met, and just all the work that really I've put in, and to see where some of those kids are today, it's the greatest feeling in the world. And just so you guys know how truly, truly blessed I feel to be here, I say I have all of this with you. I have all of this for you simply because this is for the best of the kids. And this is for the best of the athlete. The American athlete, this is for you. The baseball player who wants more. Maybe you just want more for your kid. Maybe you think, hey, this would be really good for him. Maybe he's not going to be a professional baseball player, but he can still take some of these really great lessons. It's inspiring. It really is. And to be here completely healthy, just for your kid to be completely healthy, to be able to play this game is such a blessing that cannot be taken for granted at all. Each and every day is not promised. It's not. So we need to make sure we are going all out. We are doing everything we can to make sure there is not a single day we wake up with regret. So on that note, let's get into it. So here it is. These are very next level concepts that are backed by data. I've been very blessed to be able to be close to Driveline Baseball. Driveline Baseball is, if you guys haven't heard, they are really one of the main players who are going really hard into data for baseball. Okay, I have two swings here. I have Mike Trout and I have Ken Griffey. So using the best coaching from the States while really also taking lessons from players internationally to put together the best product for the player's swing is what I've been able to do. Everything from hip movement, dynamic moves that the body needs to make, what the body needs to do, how the body needs to decelerate, how you need to approach the ball, everything. How you need to land on your front foot, we cover it all. Not only that, but we actually personalize it for the player. Because this would not be unique if I was just going to processize this all through and say, okay, next up. All right, let's processize the heck out of this so we can just, do as well as we can, and we got a full run business here. That's not the point. This is for the players. This is what I enjoy doing. And really, it's not unique without personalization. Personalization must occur. So in terms of these moves, in terms of what needs to be done, we have it all. The actual coaching is the easiest part. But what a lot of people think is it's actually the hardest part. Oh, he just can't repeat the motion. He can't do this. He can't do that. These mechanics, he's got to work them. Look, mechanics are the least of the worry. There is a far more important part to get because the mechanics will iron out with time. But what if the player doesn't buy in? Then he never gets to that point. Which is, again, this is why this is a very minor piece of the puzzle. Community. The second part of this is community. And that is one of the most important parts in really anything that we do. Community is critical. And community is so undervalued. So really being able to put all of our players into one community where they can interact and they can meet more like-minded players, it would not only be a great place for them to, make more friends, but hold themselves accountable. Holding themselves accountable. That is critical. And I'm sure you've heard that before. I'm sure you've heard somebody say that before. But here it is. Here it finally is. It works. I know it works. This will work. Okay? The community is the place where we are able to put them together and to hold them accountable. Okay? And it's something where the players are more thinking like, whoa, we can meet more people, we can meet friends, and that's great. That's awesome. But guess what? There are secondhand effects that come along with this, and winning effects. Good things that come along with this. The community that we have is absolutely critical. And this will be one of the most important pieces to the whole puzzle. Coaching is minor. Community is critical. It is a major key. Now, the last piece of it is a gamified approach. And to be different, you have to do different. And to be different in a good way, we have to fundamentally understand why kids put their attention to X or Y subject. If we understand psychology, we 110% understand why kids are putting their attention where they are. So if we take elements of that we take those elements of gaming that are addicting and we put them in a way that is more structured to things that will develop the player, we will see major results on the field and in personal development as well. This is major, and this is very important. So, one last thing. In personal development, these are the kind of things that school will not teach. School will never teach this kind of stuff. School is memorizing and, make sure you do this, make sure you do that, where this is actually real life. These are tangible. Like, understanding how to do some of these things that are going to be taught here is so important. But school won't teach it. They won't. Who knows why? They won't. So we have to. So this group of baseball players here, not only do they get the on-the-field training, but they are going to win off the field. And we are moving away from that traditional training to develop the first kind of product to better the kids. Like I said, this is us moving away from, just the traditional, hey, here are a few videos and okay, go do it, take your dad and do it with your dad, or hey, do it with your mom or whatever. That's not what we want. And that doesn't work because that doesn't bring lasting impact. And if we don't bring lasting impact, then we haven't done our job. So what should you expect? Well, let me tell you what you should expect here. Because when you start something that's innovative, people get scared. You might think, well, geez, nobody's done that. How will it work? Oh, geez, could this really work for my kid? You're going to start to see a different attitude. An attitude that is more self-starting. You're going to start to see personal development. And you'll also see development as a ball player. We are making a big transformation here. And you're doing this for your kid. You want them to make that change. Unfortunately, they will not learn this. They don't know they need this, but you do. And you have the means to support them. You have the means to support them, to put them in a position where they can be successful. Every kid should be able to have that right. Will yours? So, and does it work? It's like, I wouldn't be here today if it didn't. I would not be coaching if this didn't work. I would not enjoy coaching if it didn't. I'm not the kind of guy who can just show up, have no connection to his players and, kind of hit some fungo a little bit, hit the ball around, throw it a little bit and say, okay, great practice, guys. Okay, all good. I'll see you later. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. Motivating kids to be better, motivating players to do more, I enjoy doing that. I love getting more out of kids and how they can get going, how they can see their potential, how they can understand what goals are, how they can really take their game to the next level, how to understand to prepare. I enjoy doing that stuff because this is something that they are going to take in this game, and then they're also going to take it and they're going to go with it and roll with it in real life. Bottom line, I know they will. And this system works. This ensures the best results for the player. The player is protected. So this is the advanced athlete. I mean, this is what we like to call it, the advanced athlete, really, because, not only is he on the field, but he's off the field. He's got that smooth stroke, preparing them for the future. You are adding fuel to the fire for a player's motivation. You are giving them the ability to meet new like-minded friends. They will understand how to develop and handle the ups and downs of the game. Look, this is also just going to this will also make them a better overall athlete, bottom line. People can say you can't teach drive, you can't teach hustle, you can't teach that, blah, 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 blah. But they're wrong. They're so wrong. If it's after 25 years old, I agree with you. But if it's kids, I 100% disagree. They just have to know what they need to do. They have to understand the why. If they don't understand the why, there's no doing. These are all things that the advanced athlete will receive from being a part of what we're doing. Not only will they be a better player on the field, but it's off the field. Look at all these right here. How cool would that be? How cool would that be to be able to give that to your son? Could you imagine what that looks like? I mean, really, imagine what that looks like. And training will never be the same after this, because you're never going to be able to go to just like, well, we've been doing lessons here, or, we did this online course, or, well, we did this. And basically they just gave us some videos, or they just gave us some training, and then they said, okay, hey, do it in the mirror, look in the mirror, like look at yourself in the mirror, no, make sure you do it at home. That doesn't work. Come on. That doesn't work. We know that. You and I know that. Let's be real. So after this, after your son is involved with this training, it will never be the same. It will never be the same, bottom line. That's 100% true. So, really quick, let's go through just, what you'll get. What you'll get in being part of this community. So, you'll get the advanced athlete hitting formula, and that covers it all, like I talked about. That is really exciting because you will be able to see in very little time, 3 to 6 months, a big change and a very clean stroke. That is something that is not difficult as long as the athlete is putting in the work. The second thing is the Dynamic Body Movements Guide. And the Dynamic Body Movements Guide is critical because something that is preached so much is mechanics. But what if the hitter cannot make the moves that he needs to be able to make to actually perform the mechanics? So instead of going from, step 0 to step 3, why don't we go step 0 to step 1, step 2? Dynamic body movements are the base of what makes a great swing. And without these, it's tough. It's really tough. The third is an invite to the community of winners. And that, like you saw, is, and probably what you understand now, is one of the most important pieces of this. And it is what makes this so valuable for your kid. The fourth part is how to use new media to your advantage to get exposure. So, and I'm not talking about like, well, what are you talking about? Like, new media, what? Social media has given players the greatest advantage to be able to get in front of coaches without actually having to go to showcases, so you don't need to be spending hundreds of dollars to do that. Look, showcases are great experiences. Don't get me wrong. But let's say you don't have, $500 for every, other month that, you can, and then a plane ticket that you can go to, Phoenix and then hotel and blah, 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 blah. You don't want to spend that. And that's okay. So what you can do is we will learn and we will show you how you can actually use this media and how you can use content to get exposure and get in front of coaches for cheap and for nothing, basically. This is, again, very important for any player who wants to get to that next level, or, this is a huge, huge confidence builder with kids because they're proud. There's nothing more they want to do than to be able to represent themselves and to be able to be proud of themselves and put up that content online and put up that, where their friends can see it and where potential coaches can see it. That's a huge booster. A huge booster. And it wouldn't be great if I only had that. Okay, so here I got some bonuses as well. Okay, so here I have personalized hitting breakdowns. Okay, and that's 5. So what you're gonna do, you're going to send me a video breakdown of the hitter, and then I am going to break it down, and I'm going to send you my feedback, and then we're going to do 5 of those, okay? So each and every one of you will get 5 of those, and that is so cool because really, there are so many guys who would just be like, okay, you paid, you're part of it, okay, see ya, thanks, ciao, adios. It's not the way it works here. It's not the way it works here. Ongoing training is important, and we understand that, and we want to be able to show you, here's where he was then, here's where he is now. And that will be very cool to see the growth of the player. The gamified approach, I keep on saying gamified. I don't know why. The gamified approach to increase productivity. And this is basically just rewarding players with achievements, different rewards, different, things that they can earn, that kind of stuff. It makes it fun for them. It makes them think that my work is not just going towards something that is, X. It's going, oh, I get that reward. I get that bonus. I get that, I get that achievement. Oh, yeah, that's so awesome. Oh, hey, I just did X, Y, and Z, and then I got my own sleeve. My sleeve is coming, and I had to work really hard to do that. And even though it's just a sleeve, it's the work that they put in. It's the work that they put in to get that. And that's what makes it so special. And the last part of this is dominating the mental side of the game for success on and off the field. And we will show each and every player how to absolutely dominate the mental side of the game for success. This is not hard. It just needs to be taught, and it needs to be taught from someone who kids will respect and kids know who can connect with them. That is the biggest piece, 100%. Now, I know it's not in there as well, but I'm also going to be giving in the dynamic, the body movements. There is also a list of, very good exercises that can be done to really warm up the player properly and make sure that we avoid injury. All of this is done because I know what works and I know what doesn't. I hurt my back when I was younger. It was a terrible, terrible, terrible injury. It was no good, no fun. I know what I did wrong, and now I'm able to teach, here is how we can avoid that, and we make sure we keep the players on the field, we keep them healthy, because you know what? It's no fun to be hurt. I was always hurt. It's no fun. And if we can avoid it, which we can, we will. Here we are. We're talking about guarantees, and everybody's always like, well, I got a crazy, I got the left, right, forward, backward guarantee where you got to, you count to 10 and, you do this and then you get your money. Okay, no. 30-day money back guarantee. If you don't like it, no problem. You're not going to hurt my feelings. Basically, I want 30 days so I can show you what it's about. So I can show you and give you a taste. Hey, this is what it is. We're confident as heck in our product. This works. Bottom line, this works. So your 30 days, you can check it out. See what you like. It's simple, and it's for you. There is absolutely no risk at all for you. You will look, and then also you will only receive the dominating the mental side and the personalized hitting work if you actually sign up through this training, though. Because there's going to be so many folks, well, I'm not sure, look, the people who understand that this is this is probably the first time and potentially a once in a lifetime opportunity for their kids, because look, your kids are only going to be this age once. It doesn't work backwards. They get older. That's what it is. And this opportunity, there might not be another coach like me that comes by. And if there is, are you really going to take the risk of not getting into something like this just because, I don't know about now. So look, if it wasn't enough then, it is now. The personalized hitting and dominating the mental side of the game, I'm going to only give you if you sign up through this training. It is what needs to be done, because the people who understand, like I said, this is for them. They're going to jump at it, and they probably already have jumped at it right away. If you haven't noticed, you can actually click the button below. It's going to take you to a place where you can check out, and you can get going tomorrow. You can get going right away. And I look forward to seeing you not only in the community, but I look forward to seeing your son develop as a ball player on and off the field. Do this to not only to develop as a better baseball player, but a more prepared person in this world. That's what it is. So thank you. I hope that you're taking action today. That you start to make the change that we all want to see and that we know is there. It just needs to be taught. You're making a purchase, right? You're making the decision right now into development on the field and off the field. And there has been nothing that has been able to bridge that gap. On top of that, somebody who is able to connect with your kids in a way other coaches aren't. Somebody who understands them. You're helping right now create the next generation of great people who will do big things in this world. And this is a world of distraction. And if we can get them to be in the position where they're going to be doing great things and they understand how to concentrate, they understand how to do certain things, well, then I am excited for all of you. Not only that, there's more inside. I have some other cool surprises for you. But it's for the action takers. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for today. Thank you for your time. And really, I'm looking forward to working with you. I'm looking forward to working with your son. I'm looking forward to really working with the next generation of great people. As you have gone through this with me today, you have noticed and you have seen and you understand what needs to be done. You know why traditional coaching doesn't work. And now it's time to take the stand and go to something that's different. So thank you so much, and I look forward to seeing you guys soon. Take care, everybody.